Hey book lovers, it's the last day of January, so I'm here to do my wrap up. I did end up reading all but one book that I had on my TBR. So there was one NetGalley book that I have started but haven't finished. Other than that, I got to everything that I was planning to, which I'm pretty impressed with. I mean, I kept it pretty like small, but there were some really big books on this TBR. So I'm really excited that I got to all of them. So the first one was A Court of Wings and Ruin, and then so this one was a 5-star read. I also read A Court of Frost and Starlight, which I gave 4 stars. I really enjoyed this series. It was super fun. I don't know. It was one of those books that kind of just spoke to me. Like, I read the synopsis of the first book and I was like, I need to read this book right now. And that was back in December. And so I've read all of the books that are out so far. And I'm already pre-ordered the next book that comes out in February. And I just really like this. I think that I just read it at the right time. That I may not have enjoyed it as much if I had read it at a different time. So I'm glad that it all worked out. And yeah, I'm planning on keeping these books. I'm not going to get rid of them. Like, I can see myself rereading these in the future. I really like them. So I also read The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, which I rated 4 stars. This was a really big book. This is like a 1,300 page book. And I gave it 4 stars. I kind of thought it was a little slow. It was a lot of like world building and like background stories, I feel like, and kind of setting the story up. I'm interested to see where the rest of that series goes in terms of that, because I feel like this one was setting up the rest of the series. So I don't know if the rest of the series is going to be like this one or if it is going to start to get more action-packed and exciting. So I do plan on continuing those. I did do a reading vlog for The Way of Kings, so check that one out. And I do plan on doing reading vlogs for the other books. I want to read the next one in February, but I'm not sure if I'm going to or not. I'm doing these as buddy reads, and some people were just a little bit, like, didn't get this one done this month. And so I think we're moving it back. So I don't know if I'm going to read it in February by myself and then just discuss it with them later, or if I'm going to wait and read it in March and discuss it with them, like, as we go. So we'll see what happens with that. But okay, I also read Ready Player 2. I read this with my husband. We had read the first one together, so we went ahead and read this one together too. I give this one 4 stars. It just wasn't quite up there with Ready Player 1. It was still fun and interesting. I love the concept, you know, with all the video game and Dungeons and Dragon like references and stuff. And actually I recently like got into D&D because of my husband, and so I get a lot more of the references in this book than I would have before. So that was kind of fun for me, but I don't know, it just wasn't quite what I was expecting. The next book that I read was Lisa Jewell, Invisible Girl. I have loved Lisa Jewell's books so far, the ones that I've read. I'm always really impressed with, and I was still pretty impressed with this one. I gave it 4 stars. It was very much a slow burn. I would almost call this more of like a drama than a thriller, I guess. I don't know. But it was still really good, and I did enjoy it, but I don't know, just wasn't quite a 5-star for me. So, and then the last book that I read was Enjoy the View by Sarah Morgenthaler, which is the 3rd book in the Moose Springs, Alaska series. So this series was weird. So like, I really loved the tourist attraction. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was really, really good, and I loved it. And then the second book, Mistletoe and Mr. Right, just kind of didn't do it for me. I didn't care for the main characters and their personalities. Like, I didn't connect to them the way that I wanted to connect to the main characters. And then the story was just kind of, I don't know, silly, I guess. So that one I rated 3 stars. So I still went into this one and I was hoping that she would make a comeback. And this one actually ended up being my favorite one of the 3 so far. So this one follows Easton, who is like the big burly, like we've met him in the other 2 books. He's like this mountain man. He's like real quiet, doesn't really talk a lot. And his like love interest in this one is a like movie star, like former actress who's trying to get into like directing and producing. And so it was like a really weird like combination, but I loved it. So Easton is just like so sweet. Like, he like never gets like, he never has a temper or anything. He's just like so chill. He's just the sweetest freaking guy. And she is like this feisty redhead that, she was a little bit too stubborn in some situations where she was putting people's lives in danger, which kind of frustrated me. Instead of listening to a professional, she just kind of did her own thing, which I found to be a little bit annoying. But I did like her feistiness and like her sassiness, and she was willing to stand up for herself and to defend her friends and everything. But anyway, so I have never like really been into like the man bun and like beard kind of thing, but Easton kind of made me get into it. So Anyway, so that is all the books that I read in January. So like I said, it wasn't a lot of like actual books, but it was a lot of pages and a lot of reading time. It took me 2 weeks alone to read The Way of Kings. So I am still pretty impressed with how much I read, and it was a great reading month. Everything was 4 and 5 stars, so that is amazing in terms of ratings and everything. So yeah, that's all I've got for January wrap up. So bye, y'all.